Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Memoria Freese video. And I'm here to give you guys my current verdict on Ais and Bete. Now, the reason why I'm calling it my current verdict is because of, well, two reasons in particular. The first reason being, right now we're still evaluating these units. A lot of people are coming up with new ideas, new team compositions, and other things where these guys can shine the best. But of course, there's still testing being done, so it's nowhere near done, of course, right? And the second reason is kind of similar to the first reason in that we're still waiting to see what the rest of the anniversary brings along, because a lot of the times the rest of the anniversary tends to support what releases in part 1 and tends to complement it. So there's a very good opportunity that either Ais or Bete could get a very nice complementary unit in the next part or in the third part potentially, right? So we still have to wait and see what they bring out over the next couple of weeks. In fact, tomorrow, at the time this video goes out, tomorrow there should be 2 new units coming out potentially, non-time limited units in fact as well. So there is that factor as well. So those units could help out the part 1 units. We just have to wait and see basically, right? Now of course I still wanted to make this video because I still feel I have to kind of give you guys my evaluation of these 2 units, especially 2 weeks on since I made my first showcase videos for these guys, right? And in that showcase video, I may have overrated one unit, I may have underrated the other unit, and of course those were my first days using those units, right? My first attempt at even trying them out in the first place. So it was very early days. I didn't understand exactly how they operated, the best places that they could be operated in, and of course I've had the opportunity to actually do that testing and come back here today and give you guys my own thoughts. Along with that, I've spoken to other players about specifically because of course I'm no longer a Magic user. I once was back in 2018 2019, but of course that doesn't cut it in this day and age, and I don't have the same units that certain other players do. So of course I've taken some opinions from them, and I'll be talking about them later on in this video. Now of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this one, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Memoria Freese content, and let me know in the comment section down below which of the 2 do you like. Do you dislike one of them? Do you like both of them? Let me know in the comment section. And also, if you guys think you could improve them, how would you improve them? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say down below. Now, I want to start off by talking about Bete first and foremost instead of Ais, because I feel like Bete is a little bit easier to talk about and his points are very straightforward. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I kinda overrated him on day 1. Admittingly, I got caught up in the hype of the anniversary, I feel, and of course the way he was performing. I called him a mini Hero Festa, which I still think that holds true to an extent because of his capabilities and what he does in his kit. But I feel like at the same time, that is also a little bit of a flaw, and I'll come on to why in just a moment. But if you look at his kit, right, if you just look at his kit, very solid overall still. I still like what he's capable of doing. I've used him in PvE scenarios, PvP scenarios, and he can hold his own. Now the issue is, right, with whatever he does, right, whatever he's doing, he's reducing the opponent's agility, fire res, he's giving himself agility and all that jazz, he's giving himself a barrier, and of course an avoids KO as well. It's all very solid, but then you think about it a little bit more, right, and you think about it and you compare him to the Hero Festas, and it's like, well, yeah, the Hero Festas are way better, and arguably they do a better job than he does in the same position, because the problem with Bete is that he doesn't have a position of his own right now, right? You want to put him in the same places that you would probably put, say, for example, Alan in, and Hero Festa Alan is just way better. Even though I call him Fraud Alan at times and everything, he's way better if you put him in the right positions. But the thing is, you want to put Bete in those positions as well, but Alan is way better in those positions, especially when you consider Alan, of course, has the likes of Christmas Haruhime as well, right? This Christmas Haruhime goes extremely well with Alan, and the thing is, even Bete goes well with this Haruhime as well, but the thing is, Alan and Haruhime are both thunder types, so they work well, really well together, and not to mention their kits kind of complement each other, whereas Bete, of course, being a fire type unit and everything, isn't the greatest, unfortunately, with Haruhime, especially if you compare his performance to Alan in that same situation. Now you might be saying, Gale, but you're comparing a Hero Festa to a standard unit, a time-limited unit from the anniversary. And yes, that is true. I'm comparing a Hero Festa to a time-limited unit, but I have to be objective about it. If the Hero Festa is the best of the best, we can't really put Bet in that same tier because the Hero Festa is way better, right? The Hero Festa is way better. So for me personally, if I had to go back to my tier list, which I will do at the end of this video, I am going to be dropping Bet down to A. I think he's still a phenomenal unit, and like I said at the start, he is very easy to use, very accessible, and I genuinely do believe that if a new player were to take him and put him into a team of decentish units, let's say for example you chuck in the anime gacha Bell and Ryu, you chuck in a couple of other units that you might have gotten from the free multis or while summoning for these units, you might be able to get to King relatively easily because this guy can be fantastic at +5. It's just that you would need some of the other units to obviously carry you there as well. So it makes him very accessible and very easy to use. On the other hand, Ais is a little bit more difficult to talk about, more complicated to talk about, unfortunately. Now, unfortunately, on the day I did my showcase, and when I put my showcase up, I got a comment saying that I'd done it very poorly, I could have done better, I should have used XYZ units, specifically I think it was Vesta, Light Elise, and Hero Festa Elise, and that, you know, it wasn't hard to find her supports, basically, right? And to that I'd say, well, Vesta, time-limited unit from the 4th anniversary, hasn't had a rerun in thousands of years, basically now. Light Elise just came and went a couple of months ago, yet again a time-limited unit. If you didn't get her, well, that's tough, basically. And a lot of people were saving up for Hero Festas or alternatively the anniversary as well whenever Light Elise came around, so you couldn't necessarily get her like with a click of a finger. 3rd unit, Hero Festa Elise, I mean, it's in the name, she's a Hero Festa. So building a team like that isn't for everybody, right? And that was the point I was trying to get across in that showcase. I saw Ais' power, and I think I should get this across really well. When I call her a fraud, I don't really mean that she's a complete fraud. I'm not saying that she's a fraud entirely, she's just straight up horrible or anything of that sort. When you put her into the right positions, she's got power, bro. She's got so much power. In fact, in that showcase itself, I managed to see her deal over 22,000 damage to a character, and she's not even +5. She's not even +5. I didn't even have her at +4 when I got her at the time. I had her at +3 in that showcase, and she was doing over 20,000 damage. I think at +5 she'd easily get over 25-30k basically, and if you have the right set of units going along with her. But that doesn't change the fact that if you wanted to get it into that position and if you wanted to use her efficiently, you need the right units, which the average player isn't going to get whatsoever. And that's the reason why I decided to enlist the help of a player who has reached Hero 1 in the past and is a magic user, has those units and has more units as well to use alongside this Ais efficiently and effectively. And I asked him to give me his opinions on Ais. Now, I'm going to go over his opinions first and foremost. His name is Master Sama, and I'm going to be leaving an image of his messages to me, his DMs to me, going over the things he thinks about Ais. So, he starts off by saying, alright, fraud Ais A. Let me start by saying that she shines best when used as a support. She is not by any means someone who can willingly take over the fight like Festa Elise, nor is she fast enough to be an actual threat on the offensive side until end of turns. Her best comparison is Vesta, but there are a few key differences. Vesta takes off a magic null turn 1 when being used as a buff stripper unit, right? Because of course, Vesta's skill, Sanctifying Festive Flare or whatever it is, right? It is an attack basically where she can strip away the buffs through that attack, right? I think it's her skill 2 if I'm not mistaken, right? But Ais does not, because Ais' first skill, right, is Howl of Insanity, as you can see right here. It's not an attack, it's a straight up debuff. So there is that factor between Ais and Vesta basically, and that's what he's coming to across here. Vesta might get killed by counters before she can strip anything turn 1 when facing teams with Argo and Tiona, of course the counter physical units, because she's casting an attack after all, but Vesta can at least be used as a sack to bring in null. So here he's saying you'd give War Princess as ear cuffs to Vesta, right? Who basically lowers her HP as a result of that armor piece, right? That weapon, I should say, not armor piece. War Princess's ear cuffs are weapons. You use that weapon to lower Vesta's HP, and when she basically, you know, tries to use Sanctifying Festive Flare or whatever that skill is, she will die because the counters will hit her, and she'll be able to bring in the nulls basically. Even though she's not able to apply the debuff, she's at least, or I should say, be able to remove the buffs, I should say, from the enemy. She's at least able to bring in further nulls basically, and it's the best thing to be done as a turn 1 buff stripper is what he's saying. And that's why Magic Ais is confusing to use. She can't be used as a consistent sack because she doesn't get countered by anything on turn 1, and she's not able to lead the other magic units like Lafia, Festa Elise as well. But now the good thing about Ais is that she will be able to replace Vesta in positions despite her flaws, and Vesta is of course 2 years old, and like I said, she's a time limited unit that hasn't had the opportunity to rerun at all, right? For anyone that doesn't have Vesta and is running Magic, this is basically the second best thing you can do right now. Both Vesta and Ais shine more at MLB, which only makes it harder for free-to-play players. Specifically, the reason why he says this, and he goes on to talk about Entario and MLB, is because if you take a look at Entario, right, how Entario works is very interesting, because Entario gives you a lot lower agility depending on your limit break. So for example, right, I have a Glorious Anklet right now on Alan, right? I'm gonna chuck a Entario on him, basically, right? Where are my Entarios? Yeah, there it is. So this Entario is here right now. If I apply this Entario onto him, you can see that he has agility minus 79% here at this point in time, right? Minus 79% agility. But if I were to chuck it on my plus 5 Finn right here, right? Now this is where things get very interesting, because once I give Entario to Finn, who is of course MLB, it goes down to minus 99% agility. So there's that 20% minus agility difference. And actually, one of the things that we saw in my testing on Friday, and you can watch that WOD at whenever you wish to, of course, it's on the channel, it's on this channel specifically, we noticed that basically when you want to use Ais's first skill, right, against units like, say, for example, Bell, Hero Festa Bell, who obviously has a slow ability, right? If you take a look at Bell's kit, right, his first ability is slow. Ais at plus 4, my Ais being plus 4, would always go before Bell uses his first skill, which kind of invalidates that because Bell has an ability to give himself agility on that first skill. So it ends up becoming a problem of where it's like, well, frick, Ais wasn't able to do the one thing I told her to do and I wanted her to do, basically, and that was be able to strip away the agility buffs from these units. So that's what he's coming across with that sentence, basically, and that point effectively, in regards to Ais's first ability, you know, not being amazing with Entario at lower limit breaks. And it's the same thing with Vesta as well. So it's not really an issue that's simply put down to Ais, right? All right. I don't have to tell you about that Entario and MLB thing and how it affects turn 2 agility battles because of Finn, Light Bell, etc. I've just mentioned it. Keynote, we still don't have a Wind Bell counterpart for Magic. That is true. So what he's talking about here is Wind Bell and Ryu, the anime gacha Wind Bell and Ryu, because they have a slow attack, right? And because they have a slow attack to strip away agility buffs, they'll go last no matter what, basically. So of course that is not the case for Magic. Magic doesn't have a slow agility debuff, buff remover, I should say. So there are that. Both Vesta and Ais are not slow, so they are limited to an Entario. Now the good thing about Ais is, unlike Vesta, if you have a null Festa battle, or if Ais survives until the end of turn 2, she will be taking off 2 magic nulls and she will apply debuffs, plus she's able to do ridiculous damage. I mean, yeah, pretty much agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Obviously these debuffs are here on Dark Bloom, of course, right? And then you of course have the additional action, you know, dealing 70% damage per each self regen effect, which you can get to at least 210% in wargames. You'll probably see it being around 140% more so, but it's still possible to do this, especially if you have, let's say, for example, Estrella from the 3rd anniversary, which again is a time limited unit. And the reason why I'm trying to point these things out and trying to point out the insanity of trying to get these units is because they are very, very hard to get, and there are no replacements for units like them, basically, right? Because the idea of Estrella is not necessarily the one turn null physical and magic. It's the fact that she gives HP regen and MP regen on her assist skill. She gives both. You don't have to go out of your way to add an HP regen unit or an MP regen unit to try and get extra damage, because Ais will, not Ais, Estrella will do that for Ais, basically, right? So yeah, Vesta can't do that. So yeah, that is true as well. I think that's the factor as well. I would say she is a more offensive version of Vesta, basically, is what she is. Ais is much better for PvE as well. Overall, I tell players to not invest in her unless they are running turn 2 Magic Rush and don't have MLB Vesta. Just like you said, that is me. She can be good, but your other units will matter much more. Your assists and main damage dealer is the speed of the others. Or at least wait till to invest in her, since we don't know how useful she'll be after all the units come out. Like I said at the start of the video, this is a current verdict. We still don't know what they'll bring out. In fact, like I said, I think it's very possible that the part 3 units will probably work really well with this Ais, in all honesty. For example, tell the new players, and this is his advice to the new players, that unlike the new Bet, Fessa Elise, Thunder Lafia, and etc., she just can't carry you to King 1 because she's more of a support with really slow damage. I've seen new players MLB the new Ais and really struggle because they don't have any high limit break fast damage dealers. Ais is just not built to carry you like that, and that's the point I was trying to make in that video. And people, that person who commented said, oh, players have a new iris and everything, they can get these units very easily, but that's just not the case. The gacha does not allow you to just get these units with the click of your finger, right? It's not possible. You have to get very lucky to get these units, and some of these units that you need to work well with Ais, I'm sorry, but they're freaking time limited or limited to Hero Festa banners. It's not possible to get these units. I love her. I really do like how she performs, but she needs a lot to get going, and that's not easy to do as an average player. Ais is just not built to carry you like that. The reason why I love Ais is because I can finally use her at MLB over my base Vesta, and I enjoy her end of turn 2 damage. It's like a plus. I'm not expecting her to do anything other than support the team. It's easy to say that because I have all these perfect MLB units that mesh perfectly together. Meanwhile, if I was a new player or didn't really have a stacked magic comp, I probably wouldn't like her as much. But for the base Vesta users like me, or the players that don't have Vesta at all, this is a decent replacement for your Magic Rush team. Also, Ais does have her other skill, which does agility down and dark down. You can use that to counter physical agility teams that have light fin, and he says dark fin, but it's supposed to be light fin, and it takes off null. Forgot to mention it. Vesta buffs strip sack, Ais minus dark and agility, both slow. No one should be able to speed you on turn 2 on a perfect comp. Obviously, it'll make you weak to turn 1s because you're slow on everything, but it works to beat anything on a race for turn 2. I haven't tried it yet because my Vesta is pretty slow, but Faud didn't mention it. And Faud, being obviously the leader of Vesta and my familiar leader, of course, he's also been working on Ais and trying to figure out stuff. And in fact, we do have another composition for Ais as well. This was brought to me in my Discord like 5 minutes before I started recording, and it's a composition that the JP players came up with apparently, and it's basically an Ais stall team. So of course, whatever Master Sama said there, he's right in that, whatever happened, with the Magic team, that's what Ais is basically. But certain JP players have been testing out a certain team composition, and apparently it's been super effective. Of course, I haven't been able to test it out because I don't have the stall mechanics, but basically it's a very similar team to this, except instead of Valletta and instead of Otaro, you bring in Ais, and you also bring in, I think it might have been who was it? I don't remember what the 4th unit was now off the top of my head. Oh no, who was the 4th unit? I don't remember off the top of my head, but basically it was a stall team. It was a stall team basically, and the idea is that with how many Magic teams are going about, right? With how many ever Magic teams are going about right now, Ais is able to help you out because she removes, if you look at her kit, right, on her first skill particularly, right, if you take a look at her first skill, I don't know why I'm increasing her to MLB, but if you look at her first skill, right, she removes magic buffs as well, and then on her second skill, she also debuffs the enemy's magic as well by 40%, so she's basically got all of that going for her, and then on top of that, you add in the HP regen, and you're eating really well. So there is that factor as well where this Ais is going to be great on stall as well potentially, right? And she's also being the main damage dealer because of her insane damage through her additional actions and stuff as well. So this Ais is really good, right? And I have to echo what Master Sama said because that's what I experienced on my testing, in my testing I should say, on Friday. And that is, Ais is really good. I like her in PvE, I like her in PvP, but the thing is in PvP in particular, and of course in PvE until we get more dark units, there's a lot to be, given to this Ais. You need a lot going for this Ais. Stall isn't an easy team to make. You need the right assists, and again, most of those assists are time limited, or even the adventures, Alfia for example, time limited. already time limited. You know, it's hard to build a team like that. And the second thing is, of course, is that also when you look at the Magic Rush team and stuff, that is also very difficult to make a team for, right? And I think that's the major problem with this Ais, is that you need a lot going for her. And it's not necessarily that she needs new supports or anything of that sort. It's just that if you want her to be really good off rip right now, you need to have summoned a lot in the past on very specific banners. And if you didn't, well, getting this Ais going is very, very tricky. That being said, though, I do believe there is a very, very good chance that over the next couple of weeks, when we get the part 2 units, part 3 units and stuff, I think we're going to be able to see her in a much, much better light potentially. And I still maintain, right? I'm going to show you guys my tier list right now so that you guys can see where I've placed her. I still do believe that this Ais is an easy A. I think both Ais and Bet are both easy A's. Of course, I've put Riveria as well in there because I do believe that she is still very, very good. And the reason why I haven't spoken about Riveria in this video is because, well, I feel like Riveria is a very, very solid unit overall. But yes, I do believe that, you know, both Ais and Bet are still fantastic units. And I think, you know, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how, you know, she evolves and how both of these units get buffed basically because of whatever releases in the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I can't find the image for that 4th unit for Ais. I do apologize for that. I just saw it like 5 minutes before I started recording, and then I had to come and start recording, so I couldn't really ask many questions of Fowd and stuff. So, but yeah, I think, you know, if you can try and figure out a stall team, I've given you 3 units basically. You'll have to figure out the rest of the stall team basically there. And if you have the units, all well and good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.